I'm glad you've joined me for this week's discussion with my sister friends. It has been said that eating meals together as a family has many benefits and the potential to strengthen family bonds as we engage each other around the dinner table. For many, gathering together at the dinner table is a long-standing tradition that has been passed down through generations. As we know, times and traditions are ever-changing, and everyone's experience is definitely not the same. Today, we'll ask the question, is the dinner table necessary? As we gain different perspectives from our sister friends, let's have a conversation. Friends, I'm Teresa Cooper. I'm your host today. I'm glad that you've taken the time to join us for Sister Friends, Cups and Conversation. Today I have around the table with me, obviously, if you've been watching for the last few episodes, you know my sidekick, Catherine Young. She's here today.
I'm so glad to be here.
All the way from Bossier City.
Bossier City.
And she's a director at Care Parenting Center, and I'm just so glad that she's here with us today. And then we have Miss Karina Burks.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. She's all the way from Colorado. She moved to Shreveport, the dirty South, to be a youth pastor at Gateway Church, and I'm so glad that you're around the table with me today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes. And then we have Miss Talisha Wilcox, all the way from Mansfield. Mansfield, Louisiana. She's a college student, a millennial. She's a songbird. She can sing like nobody's business. And so if you ever need someone to sing for a wedding, a birthday, church, she's the girl. Talisha Tay-Tay, as we call her, Tay-Tay. Yes, Wilcox. And so this is my table today. We're glad that you have tuned in to join us in our conversation. Now you see our cups. Today, we're going to be talking about, is the dinner table necessary? And so with that topic, I have this cup, ladies, and I picked this cup because it reminds me of Thanksgiving and just the design on this cup and the beautiful design at the top, and all of that just puts me in the mind of ceramics and my grandma, and just, you know, good apple pie and sweet potato pie, and so I thought, well, this is a great cup for, is the dinner table necessary? And I thought about, you know, putting down my fall napkins and place settings, and isn't it cute?
That's very cute.
Yes. And so this is what we're going to be talking about today. Is the dinner table necessary? You know, a recent survey, ladies, by Conagra Foods found that 40% of American families eat dinner together only 3 or fewer times a week. Okay, and 10% of families don't even eat together at all. And so I would say that's a pretty, you know, tight and tough place to be in a family. Yes. If you have a husband and if you have kids, to not sit down and eat together. And so we're going to talk about that. You know, like, is it important? What are the takeaways? What are the strengths of sitting around a dinner table? Is it really necessary? And can our lives still be full and vibrant even though we don't sit around a dinner table? Now, let me ask each of you. Well, Tay-Tay, are you married?
I am not married. I'm single. I'm 22 years old.
Okay. Are you looking?
I am not looking.
Oh, well, she's not looking, but if you're looking, isn't she beautiful? Okay. Okay. But you do work. Are you in between jobs, or are you currently working?
I'm currently waiting to start a new job.
Okay.
As a part of the event staff at the CenturyLink Center.
Right.
Where we have like big events and everything like that. So I'll be helping, like, assist with taking tickets, showing people if they're needing, wherever they're needing assistance in the building, I'm available. I'll be
okay. And so some of you might be asking, well, then, why is she around this table? The reason why Talisha is around this table is she comes from a very big family. I think, how many is it? Like,
It's 5 total.
it's 5 total. And so, which 5 is a lot of kids. I only had 2. So 5 is a lot. And I could have only had 1. Okay? So, but she comes from a large family. And so she's going to come from the perspective of a large family, 7 people. And she's also going to speak from the perspective of being a millennial. Because, at a certain age, we might know why the dinner table might be important or necessary, but then the younger generation may have a different opinion. So I definitely wanted her at the table to kind of fill us in and clue us up to date on what, the reasons why not, or the reasons for actually sitting around the dinner table. But I want to ask Kathy and Karina, you all are definitely, you're working women.
Yes.
Okay. And Karina, you have children?
I do. I have 4 boys.
Oh. And they're all in school age?
Yes, kindergarten through 9th grade.
Wow, you got it all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Okay, and Catherine, you have how many children?
3, and they're all grown.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
Let me give you a fist bump for that.
Boom.
Yes, I have 2. They're all grown. So I have officially entered into the grandma world.
Me too.
Grandma world is like the best place on the planet. And when, this is just a side note, when all the grandmas and grandpas used to get out their billfolds and, all the pictures of the grandkids would fall out, or they would, take out their iPhones and they'd just go on and on and on and on about their grandkids. And I would be like, okay, already. I'm like totally over it by now, but they would just keep going on and on and on. Well, now I'm one of those grandmas. And I could talk about my grandbabies all day. It's the best thing God ever invented.
That's all reward for having them children.
Okay. So, grandparenting is great. And so, but let's get to the topic. Let me just speak for myself. When we were raising our kids, it was very important. We made the dinner table a priority. And I don't want to say we were like the Brady Bunch or anything like that, or the Beavers, Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver. But we did make having dinner at a certain time. I don't know if it was for the family as much as it was for my husband, because he was a preacher. And so it was like to get him home at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, dinner was always ready at that hour. And so, he came, we knew this is what we were going to eat. We knew we were going to sit around the table, and we took advantage of the dinner table being a time for us to bond as a family. Okay, the deal was, though, are y'all ready? The deal was, after I helped raise those children, once they were grown up, there was not going to be any more cooking.
That's right.
And I was like, you're going to take me out to eat every night, and we're going to order for 2. But then the grandkids came.
Yes.
You know this.
Yes, I do.
And so I had to start, I'm like, now they're pressuring me to dust off my cooking skills, because I basically stopped cooking because the kids were grown, right? And then I start thinking about my grandma and how much, y'all, when you think about your grandma, you tend to think about food, pies, the great things that grandma did at grandma's house, right? And so I started feeling bad, like I want my grandkids to know, Grammy can make something.
I don't feel bad at all.
You don't feel bad?
I don't feel bad at all.
So, I've been dusting off my, my cooking skills and stuff. But that's what we did as a family. Karina, what, for you, raising 4 boys drink a lot of milk.
They just eat a lot of food.
And they eat a lot of food, yes. So how does that look for your family?
Well, for our family, regular dinners at the table does not really happen. Before we moved out here, my boys were all involved in football. So if we weren't at church, we were at football practice, and we didn't get home till evening. So it was really, it was a challenge to get our dinners together and everybody, at the table. We do have times at the dinner table, and as you're talking about grandma, when my mom comes, mom cooks all the time. It's like I always get to choose what I want my mother to cook. And those are the times where we will have, we definitely have dinner together at the table for holidays, and occasionally, especially if we go out, those are our times where we have at the table. I think because my kids are all in different stages, for us, it's very, very important for us to have that time to talk to them, but they want it one-on-one.
Okay. So
the dinner table may not necessarily always be the time where everybody wants to talk about their things.
Right.
So we're very intentional on our time with them outside of that.
Yes.
So, because we've just had to make do with not having the dinner table. And then, like, with him always at the church, or I'm at church, or whatever we're doing.
Your schedules are busy.
Yes, they are. It seems like at dinner time, that's usually, and maybe that's selfish on our part, but that's when we talk. As soon as we try to get together, that's when we'll try to talk most of the time. Okay. So
yeah, I could see that. When you mentioned about your grandma or your mom coming over, is that something instinctively, like when your mom's there, then you actually, like, you feel more, I don't want to say pressure, but it's just like, mom's coming, we're going to all sit at the table. Do you think that's, inherently because it's your mom and she's going to be there, and that's maybe something that she's going to be expecting, is for all of us to sit together and just enjoy each other's company around the table?
I think it's partly that, or even when we have, like, guests come over, we always have it at the table. But growing up, I guess, or I don't know, just I've always been, I'm always serving my husband and serving my kids every meal. So by the time it comes around to me sitting down to eat, everybody's already wanting seconds or they're done. So, and I have to be really intentional if we're all going to be at the table, and just make sure everyone has their meal prepared or before I can sit down.
And that word intentional is very important. I think in this, the new normal, if you would say, that we all live in the world where moms and dad both are in the workforce, it makes it's a lot complicated. It's more complicated, to get it done and to be intentional. It's something that you actually have to do, whether it's intentional on Saturdays. And some of my best memories were on Saturdays, like with growing up. My mom would always, I don't really remember really eating at the dinner table, like in a memory with my mom and dad. I remember holidays, for sure, that we definitely, the holidays and stuff like that. But I do remember Saturdays. It was something about Saturdays. We would wake up to the smell of the potatoes and the onions and the biscuits, and it was so she did the Saturday, she did the Sunday. I don't know what we did Monday through Friday, but you know what I'm saying. She might have just ran us through. I just don't really remember. I think for us, one of the things why it made it more important when we had our family was we came from the perspective of in ministry families tend to break up, or they have a lot of more trauma in them, because if the father's gone a lot, the preacher, the kids are left being raised by the mom, and so we were more intentional in the sense that we're going to stay together. We're going to travel together. And so the dinner table was a part of us joining together, but it was also a way to get the dad home. You know what I mean? On time. Now after dinner, after sitting around, if someone calls, this is our time. So that was more of a lot of our motivation. How about you, Kathy?
Well, growing up, it was mostly the holidays. Again, my mom was a single parent rather, and we didn't have a lot of sitting around, but on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and that's with everybody. But when my kids were growing up, my husband was Air Force. So when he was home, we would occasionally sit down together and have dinner. Or like you, one of them was doing sports, or one of them was doing another thing. So we really didn't get a whole lot of time to sit to the table and really just talk and laugh. But being from the South, that's our culture really, is to get around the table, to cook a lot, to eat, and just really have a good time. But growing up, I say we missed a good portion of sitting at the table, especially with our kids being athletes and just in all different type things.
And Talisha, I mean, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, you're 22, so you're an adult. You haven't created your family quite yet. But what is your experience as a child? Because, you know, I've often said, you know, your parents have their view of the story of how living in their house went. And then there's the kids' story. What was the experience for the kids? And so coming from a big family, and now that you're an adult, an official adult, what are your thoughts about dinner time, sitting at the table? What was the value, or do you even feel like it's, you know, something that you will continue when you create a family?
So we did sit at the dinner table. Like, I want to agree with y'all when it comes to the holidays, because I do have an older sister and she does not live with us in the household. So it's like 4 of us total kids that stays in the household. And my older sister, she is in her own home, doing her own thing, and she has her own daughter. So we have to like kind of get everyone together. Yeah. So when we would get together, it would be the holidays, and we would sit at the dinner table and eat together. But like when they say like some Sundays we get together as well, but like on a weekly, everyone is like doing their own thing, because it's like so many of us and everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. You got the brothers, they want to watch football game, watch the football game, eat their food together. You got the sisters, one she might want to do their eyelashes, do a mascara, or she's on her phone texting her. I'm on my phone texting. Everyone's
everybody's living. Everyone's doing them, living their life, making it happen. Yeah, I get that. Life is full. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Life is full. I guess, but what would be the takeaway? Because let me just give you just a couple statistics, just to give you guys something to think about, if nothing else, okay? The recent studies link regular family dinners with many behaviours that parents pray to lower. So basically they're saying parents are praying to change these behaviors in their kids, and they linked that sitting down to dinner with their kids helps lower the rates of substance abuse, teen pregnancy, depression, as well as higher grade point averages and self-esteem. Studies also indicate that dinner conversations are more potent vocabulary boosters. These are things that we don't really think about. We just took it for granted that our families were, our grandparents and our moms and our dads were sitting around the table eating and talking and saying, how was your day? But we learned how to be. We learned how to talk. We learned how to interact, at the dinner table in most cases. Some of us got in trouble. At the dinner table. My husband, when he tells his stories about his childhood and dinner table, it's always some drama, something he was doing at the dinner table, So, do you got that with the boys?
Well, I have one that tends to spill a lot, so it's like they call him Sir Spill a lot, I mean, so but they're busy. But no, I think they're pretty good at the dinner table for the most part. We conversate, and I'm listening, and I'm thinking, we do eat a lot together. It's just not at the table. It's in our living room. Yeah. So I guess that's our table, a lot of times. But my 5-year-old, as we're trying to limit how much he spills and stuff and trying to keep him in the kitchen, I'm finding myself more and more just sitting with him, in the kitchen while everyone else is having their dinner in the living room, and I'll sit with him at the table because, that means a lot to him and he wants to talk to me and share his day. So, I mean, we have those moments throughout the week, but my kids are pretty well behaved at the table. It's usually if we go out that they may just recently we were at a Mexican food restaurant and my 5-year-old had to get up and go to the bathroom 5 million times, so, and he just would not sit still. But I mean, I think being at the table is huge for getting them to sit still.
I think in the South where we are, we honor and love social gatherings. Yes. And so you know, now it's getting into crawfish season. If you don't know what that is, that's those nice little red, they call them mud bugs, but they are delicious. But what we do in the South is people always say, you know what, that's too much work for that little bit of food. I say crawfish eating is a social food.
Right.
You're not just sitting there to get full, you sitting there to talk, to eat,
Right.
to enjoy and laugh.
And I think that's the point of really the message I want to get across today.
Yes.
In your case, you're saying you guys do eat together. You may not be eating at the table, but then, you know, not minimizing the table.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And realizing, I think we're all busy, granted, but like the study said, they've shown the benefits of when we gather together and we're in one location, preferably at the table, because usually if we're not at the table, then we're easily distracted.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then at the table, and in today's society, it's like at the table, no cell phones.
Yes.
Because you could be at the table and everyone's on their cell phones. So the benefit is in being intentional. It's 7 days out of the week. We may not can do all 7. But if maybe one day, or if we say this, you know, Friday is our family day, we know that we're going to sit at the table. I think the reason why we remember, most of us, we can remember holidays is because the family made it intentional to all gather at the holiday. And so that's important. And that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And that's important. So there's a scripture in Jeremiah 6:16 that says, ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? We're looking for answers. We're looking, you know, for ways to help our society to become better. Yes. And it starts with our children. Right. And so some of the things, it's not that we don't know what's healthy or what's right to do, it's that we've stopped doing the healthy things, or we've stopped doing the things that are right. And then someone might say, well, who says eating at the table is in the Bible? You know, I mean, they will say that. And you know, my answer to that is, if you're asking, is it in the Bible, is that most of the notable miracles and most of the notable stories that we share in the Bible all happened around koinonia, fellowship dinner, fellowship dinner, eating around a table. It's ingrained in most cultures. I don't care what culture you come from, Italian, Jewish. It just doesn't matter. Gathering and sitting around the table, or sitting on the floor around a table with food, is ingrained in every culture, Indian culture. I mean, we can go on and on. Correct, ladies?
Absolutely.
That's right.
So you're there. How can we help our kids? Something as simple as gathering them together, or how can we help ourselves as singles? Sometimes we got to know that it's okay to sit alone. Dinner for one, learning how to enjoy yourself. You know, not feeling like you need somebody to sit down and actually, you know, have dinner. That you could actually eat alone and enjoy yourself. Don't you think?
Yeah, I most
Have you tried it?
sitting by myself eating. Like, I want to say, like, I always think about, you know, taking myself out. I've even been told, like, 'cause, you know, at the church, New Creation Family Church, we do have the group, you know, the singles, where we gather and we talk. And so one of the things that was said to me as a single was, you should go out and treat yourself.
Yes.
Most likely all the time, especially during the time period where you're not interested or looking for anyone. So that's
enjoy your own
gonna
company.
be something, that I will do, is treat myself and enjoy my own company.
Enjoy your own company.
Enjoy my own company.
That's right. Because if you can't enjoy your own company, how can you expect someone else to enjoy your company? Right. So, and the scripture says, let me finish reading it, Jeremiah 6:16, ask for the old paths, where is the good way? Walk therein, and you shall find rest for your souls. And so it's important that we value the things and the traditions that have strengthened us. Yes. It may not all look the way that it looked for our parents. You know what I mean? We're not going to always get it right. You know, I know for myself, you know, the way we raised our kids and sitting at the table and having a set time. But when my daughter got married, you guys, this is really interesting. We would have Thanksgiving and dinner was going to be served at 1 o'clock. Well, then once they got husbands and wives, it was kind of like, Mama, we not on your time. And at the first year that happened, my heart just hurt because I'm like, we've done it like this and we've done it like this. And I had to like calm down and say, you know, they have their own lives. And so then I had to loosen up, you know, that my time, and now we don't even have a time now anymore, like what time we're going to eat. We sometime before 2, you know, but it wasn't before that. It was like, you know, Sergeant Carter, like, is that one, you here at 1 o'clock, be on time, you know. So you have to evolve with your world as your world evolves.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the dinner table for some is a scary place to be, especially with millennials? This is something I read when I was, you know, studying for this. 1 Peter 4:9 says, offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Oh. And it was good. And it followed, and I was reading some other things, and it says the dinner table should foster love. The dinner table should be life-giving. The dinner table should be fun. The dinner table should be encouraging. So you think if we get back to that, the millennials will want to eat with us again? Right. Even if we go to the restaurants, we always have the grown people sit together and the millennials like, we don't want to sit with y'all. Because I think sometimes who you dating? Right. What you made on your last report card? Right. What you been doing? You got a boyfriend? You got a girlfriend? Right. It turns into 20 questions, and they don't want to eat dinner with us because it turns in, you know, into an interrogation.
Right.
So if we bring the fun back to the dinner table, laugh, encouragement, and all that, maybe y'all will want to come eat with us again.
She said maybe. That's a great point.
Yes.
You know, and somebody might say, well, all of my memories aren't great memories. I have, you know, I have tragedy or I have pain, you know, when I think about the dinner table. And all those things may be correct, but a different way to look at it is that you get the opportunity in your generation with your family or with yourself as a single person to create what the new dinner table will look like what you're saying. And I think you're on something there when you said can the dinner table again be about koinonia? Yes. And koinonia is a word that we use in the church about in regards to fellowship and gathering and so if we would look at the dinner table as our time of koinonia, then it would be more inviting again. And so some of the major miracles, I think it was feeding the 5,000. They didn't have a dinner table, but he did sit them all down together, and he set them in groups of 5, 10, 50, right? He didn't just feed them. He didn't just make sure they all had come get some bread out of the basket, but he set them down and made it feel like a community. We're all eating together as a community that we're being fed. And there's just so many Bible stories.
Hold up, y'all. Hold up.
What you doing?
I like sitting at the table.
What
my cup production? Is this where I'm gonna be? Get my chair.
First of all, this is not your episode.
It's on the last one.
Are you having a Jan Brady moment?
My cup is gone?
Yes.
Okay, let us finish.
All right.
That's LaTanya Desisal. She may not look like it, but she is an executive at USA Today. But she always wants to be included at the table.
And she likes to cook, and she cooks well.
She does.
She don't outcook me, but she can cook.
Right. So some ideals and some customs, they're not antiquated. Yes. Okay, they still are life-giving.
That's right.
And I guess, Karina, that's the real message that I want to give, is that even though if you haven't done it in a while, if your schedule is just too tight to do it, consider, you know, starting back. And whether it's breakfast, maybe you can't do dinner, but maybe you could do breakfast in the morning. Now, I was bad in the morning. I didn't do good mornings. I'm not a morning girl. So that, you know, and maybe it's just in the summers. You could do lunch, you know what I'm saying? Kids, because when they're in school, they're eating lunch at school. Yeah. But make it a priority, because what we prioritize, we protect.
That's right.
And so if we don't see the value in sitting around the table as a family and making that time important, then we'll just make excuses for, well, we're doing this, we're doing that, we'll come up with all kind of reasons. And the reasons can be very valid. I'm not even denying that. Life is full. Life is full. But I want to challenge you to make it a priority and really just consider ways that you can just do it differently, that it works for your family. You know what I'm saying? That's important.
And even as adults, all our children, like Pastor Teresa and our children are gone.
Yeah.
But we enjoy getting together with the adults, and we have koinonia. We sit, we talk, we socialize, we eat, we discuss the current events. We do all of that. So even if you can't do it in your home with your children, because I understand the busy life, I understand it all. Even with other adults, just picking up a little bit in your social life, that's a good place to start as well.
Absolutely. So I conclude that the dinner table is still very relevant. It's still very necessary. And I would just encourage you to pick it back up and make it a priority in your life. And know that you're not alone. You've got millions of people that are struggling to get their families around the dinner table. And so thank you for joining us at Sister Friends, Cups and Conversation. Whether your family's tradition is meeting together at the dinner table or not, I encourage you to find healthy ways to spend quality time engaging your family and strengthening the ties that bind you together. Dinner table conversation is invaluable and can create great memories that last a lifetime. Now, on another note, I want to invite you to join me at the 17th Annual Women of Stature Conference, Chosen, May 3rd to the 5th, designed especially with you in mind. For more information, check out our social media sites and also find out what's next at Sister Friends, Cups and Conversations. We'll see you back at the table next week.